Suzuki Z125L. Best beginner motorcycle. 4-stroke single. The 2020 Suzuki Z125L is something of an anomaly in the modern world of trail bikes. It's a Luddite stream, lacking modern electricity-driven features such as fuel injection and electric starting. That means you get an air-cooled, 2-valve, 4-stroke with a carburetor and kickstarting, and no battery. We can tell you right away that we prefer EFI and e-start on motorcycles in this genre. Both make the motorcycles easier to use and more reliable performers, which are essential attributes for new and developing riders. However, some people believe those two features are just two things that can go wrong. They prefer to work on a carb if there's a fueling problem, rather than diving into a fuel injection system. Instead of relying on a battery to start the engine, they favor giving a kickstarter a jab to get things fired up. Fair enough. Starting up the 2020 Suzuki Z125L is a process lost on many newer riders. You begin by turning the petcock to the on position. The long choke lever on the left side of the 20mm Mikuni carburetor gets pushed down to trigger the choke. Younger and less robust riders, the typical Z125L buyers, will want to learn how to position the piston at TDC, top dead center, so they get the most out of each attempt. Keep your hand off the throttle and kick it. If it's your lucky day, the 124 cubic centimeters motor will spring to life on the first kick. It will often take a few tries, but it can happen on the first attempt. If it doesn't start after several good kicks, opening the throttle might be the solution. Eventually, you'll learn the right drill for you and your typical conditions. Once the motor starts up, leave the choke on and let the mill warm up completely. If you don't, the engine will die, and it's back to kicking. Even on warmer days, it takes some time to get the power plant up to operating temperature. Be patient, because trying to speed up the process only makes it take longer before you can ride. While you're waiting, ponder that you walk up to an EFI/e-start bike, push a button, and it's ready to ride almost instantly. You'll know that the Z125L is ready to go when the idle starts to rise. At that point, you can raise the choke lever to the upper run position. It might take a couple of throttle blips to clean the Mikuni out, but at that point, it's ready to ride. The 32-inch unladen seat height isn't intimidating for me with my 30.5-inch inseam. As there is sag when sitting on the Z125L, I am fully flatfoot. The pegs and grips are correct in relation to the seat, and everything falls to place naturally. At 5 feet 6 inches, I'm at the top of the size chart for the Suzuki, so my legs feel a little bit cramped. If you're any taller, look into a trail bike in the 250 class. Once underway, the 2020 Suzuki Z125L acquits itself nicely. The 16-19-inch wheel combination allows for riding on technical terrain. The IRC Motocross 905H tires are more than adequate for handling the torquey power of the Z125L, though there are plenty of upgrade options if you feel that premium rubber will make a difference. The suspension has only shock spring preload adjustment, so what you see is what you get. Fortunately, Suzuki has correctly set up the damping at both ends. With around 7 inches of travel front and rear, the Z125L can soak up bumps pretty well. The suspension is soft, a perfect match for the friendly motor, though not wallowy. While the action isn't sophisticated, it is certainly adequate for trail riding duty. With an air-cooled SOHC 2-valve motor, you aren't looking at lots of horsepower, especially because Suzuki has rightfully tuned the somewhat over-square power plant for torque production. That means technical single track is where the 2020 Suzuki Z125L is at its best. The agility of a sub-200-pound motorcycle and a relatively low center of gravity combine for a fun time on tight trails. The suspension does what it needs to do, and the 11.4 inches of ground clearance means you can handle rock or log-strewn trails with confidence even with the 16-19-inch wheel setup. A full coverage plastic skid plate protects the engine cases nicely. Newer riders can wring out the motor without intimidation, which helps hill climbs and trails where you can make some time. However, in the trickiest going, the engagements of the clutch and disc front brake are relatively abrupt. It doesn't ruin the ride, but a softer feel would be welcome to prevent braking traction.